Something massive is tugging on the dark edge of our solar system. We can measure its pull in the orbits of frozen worlds billions of miles past Pluto. We can map roughly where it should be, and in a decade of looking, nobody has ever seen it. So tonight, one honest question. Is there a hidden planet at the edge of our solar system? Let's start with what is actually solid, because the wonder here is real without exaggerating any of it. Far beyond Neptune, past Pluto, there is a population of small icy worlds we call extreme trans-Neptunian objects. They are faint, distant, and slow, taking thousands of years to circle the Sun even once. Most of them never come anywhere close to us. They live their entire lives out in the deep freeze, where the Sun is so far away it can barely warm them. And when astronomers carefully mapped the orbits of the most extreme of them, they noticed something that did not look like chance. The orbits seemed to lean the same way, to cluster, to swing out into the dark in the same direction, as if they were all being herded by an invisible hand. To understand why that is strange, picture how the solar system is supposed to work. Out in that empty frontier, with no large planet nearby to corral them, those distant orbits should point in every direction, scattered randomly around the Sun like spokes with no wheel. Instead, several of the farthest ones tilt together and bunch toward the same side of the sky. It's the kind of pattern that makes a physicist stop and ask, what is organizing this? In 2016, 2 astronomers at Caltech gave that question its modern name. Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown ran the numbers on 6 of these clustered objects, including the famous distant world Sedna. They calculated that the odds of those orbits lining up by pure coincidence were tiny, on the order of 1/100%. Their proposed explanation was bold and simple. Out there in the dark, they argued, a real planet is shepherding these worlds with its gravity. They called it Planet 9. So what would this thing be? Not a small, icy leftover, but a genuine planet. Early estimates put it around 10 times the mass of Earth, while more recent work trims that closer to 5, maybe 4 to 7 Earth masses. A super-Earth, or a mini-Neptune, and it would sit staggeringly far out, on a stretched, lopsided orbit hundreds of times farther from the Sun than we are, taking thousands of years to complete a single lap. At that distance, sunlight is almost nothing. The planet would be a dim, frozen ghost, reflecting only the faintest trace of light, which begins to explain the most frustrating part of this whole story. We have looked hard. Infrared sky surveys have been combed for its faint heat. Wide optical surveys have scanned huge swaths of the heavens. Teams have run dedicated searches across the exact regions where the math says it should be, and so far nothing. No confirmed point of light. No frozen world caught drifting against the stars. Think about what that means. We are not chasing a rumor here. We have a target zone, a predicted mass, and some of the most powerful instruments ever built pointed right at it. And the sky in that direction is still empty, for a planet supposedly several times the mass of Earth. That silence is loud. It is the central tension of the whole idea. The gravity looks real, but the planet refuses to show itself. And here is where an honest documentary has to slow down, because not every scientist agrees on what the clustering even means. There is a serious, respectable alternative. The apparent clustering might not come from one big planet at all. It might be an observational bias. We tend to discover these faint objects only in the patches of sky we happen to survey deeply, and at the right time of year, which can make a truly random population look artificially bunched. Some astronomers have argued exactly this. Others suggest the combined gravity of many smaller bodies, rather than a single world, could do the herding. The pattern is real. Its cause is still genuinely contested. Then, in 2025, the mystery got a brand new character. Using the Subaru telescope in Hawaii, astronomers announced a rare new distant world, formally catalogued as 2023 KQ14, and nicknamed Ammonite, named for the spiraled fossils, because this object is a kind of fossil too. Simulations suggest it has held a stable orbit for about 4.5 billion years, almost the entire age of the solar system. But Ammonite did not simply fall in line with the others. Its farthest point from the Sun lies in nearly the opposite direction. It is anti-aligned. And that, one stubborn detail, quietly reshaped the whole debate. Because a misbehaving world like Ammonite is a test. If Planet 9 were sitting relatively close in, where the early models placed it, its gravity should have disturbed an orbit like this long ago, or never let it settle in the first place. Instead, Ammonite is calm, stable, and almost as old as the Sun itself. The implication, the researchers note, is not that Planet 9 is dead. It is that if Planet 9 exists, it must be even farther away than we thought, perhaps beyond 500 times the Earth-Sun distance, to leave such a stable, contrary orbit untouched. Every time we find a new world out there, the search area shifts, and the hiding place just got deeper and darker and harder to light up. And the puzzle tightened further. A 2026 analysis found more of these distant worlds sitting on stable, long-lived orbits than a nearby Planet 9 would comfortably permit. In other words, the newest data does not hand us a planet. It does something more interesting and more honest. It narrows where any planet could be, while making the simplest version of the story harder to sustain. Some researchers even point out a strange knife edge. Certain far-out candidates, if they exist, could destabilize the very objects Planet 9 was invented to explain. The mystery is not closing. It is sharpening. So, where does that leave us, really? Let's mark the line cleanly. It is verified that several of the most distant orbits cluster in a way that demands an explanation. It is a leading theory, elegant, testable, and taken seriously by major astronomers, that a hidden ninth planet does the herding. It is equally a live possibility that Bias, or many small bodies, fakes the pattern, and it is wide open whether any such planet exists, and if it does, exactly where it hides. Gravity is whispering that something is out there. The something has not answered back. But this is one of those rare mysteries with an expiration date. In Chile, high in the Andes, the Vera C. Rubin Observatory has begun scanning the entire southern sky over and over, night after night, for years on end. It will catalogue billions of objects, more than tenfold what we know today. And it is sensitive enough that, if Planet 9 is really out there reflecting a sliver of sunlight, Rubin has a genuine chance to catch it. A single photograph would never reveal a frozen world that faint. But take the same patch of sky, again and again, for months, and a real planet betrays itself the only way it can, as a faint dot that creeps ever so slowly against the fixed stars. Motion is the giveaway. Some astronomers think we could know within the first few years. Either a new world revealed, or the parameter space squeezed so tight the original idea has to change. Until then, picture it honestly, out past everything we have ever visited. In cold so deep, the sun is just another star. The orbits of frozen worlds are bending towards something. Maybe it is a planet, patient and unseen, waiting at the edge of our map. Maybe it is a trick of perspective on a frontier we have barely begun to chart. Either way, you are alive at the exact moment we finally have the eyes to look, standing at the edge of the known, watching the dark for a world that might be watching back. If you want the cosmos told honestly, what we know, what we don't, and the difference marked clearly, this channel publishes the honest cosmos every week. Subscribe, and we'll go to the next impossible place together. One question before you go. Do you think the Rubin Observatory will actually find Planet 9? Or do you think the clustering will turn out to be something stranger than a planet? Tell me below.